a man who turned suffering into poetry, pain into beauty, and mortality into meaning. His life was short, but his light eternal. He did not live for fame, or wealth, or applause. He lived for the soul, for wonder, for the raw heartbeat of existence. In a world that measured success in gold, Keats measured it in truth. The truth of feeling, the truth of beauty, the truth of being alive, even when everything hurt. He was not a hero born of privilege or destiny. He was a dreamer, born of struggle. A boy who lost everything but refused to lose himself. A heart that kept beating for beauty, even when surrounded by loss. His name was John Keats, and he became a voice that time could never silence. Keats reminds us that greatness doesn't come from victory. It comes from vulnerability. He teaches that the soul's deepest wounds can become its brightest art, and that every broken piece of your story can still shine if you have the courage to believe in beauty. He once said a thing of beauty is a joy forever. But he didn't just write those words, he lived them. Every day, every breath, every tear became a masterpiece of courage. He didn't escape his pain. He transformed it. That's what makes him timeless. That's what makes him powerful. Because to be inspired by John Keats is to understand that even when the world doubts you, your light still matters. It is to realize that beauty is not found in perfection, but in persistence. In the quiet bravery of creating something meaningful before the night falls. He was born in London in 1795, a time of wars, poverty, and restless change. His father died when he was only 8 years old, and his mother followed soon after. The world took everything from him, his home, his security, his innocence, but it could never take his imagination. Even in pain, he saw poetry. Even in grief, he saw grace. While others sought comfort in certainty, Keats found peace in mystery. He didn't need to know all the answers. He just needed to feel deeply. He believed that to feel, even to suffer, was to truly live. That belief became the foundation of his art. He trained to be a doctor, to heal bodies, but his true calling was to heal souls. So he left the safety of medicine for the uncertainty of poetry. And the world thought he was mad, but passion is rarely understood by those who have never burned for something greater. When he first began to write, critics tore him apart. They called his poetry childish, naive, unworthy, but Keats never wrote for them. He wrote for truth. Every time the world mocked him, he picked up his pen again. Every failure became a new line. Every insult, a new fire. Because he understood something rare. The world cannot defeat a soul that refuses to stop creating. His words were not for applause. They were for eternity. When others wrote to impress, he wrote to express. When others chased fame, he chased beauty. To him, beauty wasn't vanity. It was faith. He believed that everything beautiful, everything pure, was a reflection of the divine. He saw beauty in the smallest things. The curve of a leaf, the song of a nightingale, the color of an autumn sky. To most people, these were simple sights. To Keats, they were proof that the world was still worth loving, even in its cruelty. But behind his beautiful words was unbearable pain. His health was fragile, his body slowly breaking under the weight of tuberculosis. The same illness that had taken his mother and his brother was now coming for him. Every breath hurt, every night was a battle. But still, he wrote. He wrote because writing was his way of living, his way of breathing beyond the limits of his lungs. He once said, "Do you not see how necessary a world of pains and troubles is to school an intelligence and make it a soul?" Those words became his truth. His poems, Ode to a Nightingale, Ode on a Grecian Urn, to Autumn, were not written from comfort, but from chaos. They were born from sleepless nights and aching lungs, from heartbreak and hunger, from a heart that refused to surrender. He didn't write to escape death. He wrote to understand it. He didn't fear endings. He turned them into beginnings. That's what makes Keats so inspiring. He didn't deny pain. He dignified it. He didn't run from mortality. He embraced it. He found beauty not in what lasts forever, but in what fades gracefully. He knew his time was short, but instead of despair, he chose depth. Instead of fear, he chose feeling. Instead of silence, he chose song. He said, "My imagination is a monastery, and I am its monk." His dedication was sacred. Every word he wrote was a prayer for beauty, for meaning, for the soul of humanity. And while his body weakened, his art grew stronger. The more he suffered, the more he saw that pain, when transformed through love, becomes wisdom. Then came love pure, impossible, and eternal. He met Fanny Brown, the woman who became both his muse and his heartache. Their love was tender but tragic. Keats was dying, and he knew it. He couldn't marry her, couldn't promise her a lifetime, but he could promise her words that would never fade. Through love, he learned that passion and pain often walk hand in hand. But he didn't let it destroy him. He let it make him real. Their letters remain some of the most beautiful ever written. Not because they promise forever, but because they cherish the fleeting. That is what John Keats taught the world, that transience is not tragedy, that the most powerful things in life are often the shortest. A sunset, a kiss, a life lived with passion. He accepted death not as an enemy, but as an artist accepts the final brushstroke, with peace, with purpose, with awe. When he could no longer hold a pen, his words still held the world. He asked for his gravestone to read, "Here lies one whose name was writ in water." But time had other plans. His name was not washed away, it was engraved into eternity. His poetry, once dismissed, became immortal. And today, 2 centuries later, his words still breathe. They live in classrooms, in hearts, in the silent moments of those who dare to dream. Keats reminds us that you don't need a long life to make a lasting difference. You just need intensity, the courage to love deeply, to create honestly, to live fearlessly. He showed the world that greatness is not about longevity. It's about legacy. When life feels too heavy, when the world feels indifferent, remember John Keats, the young man who found light in suffering, who created beauty from pain, who built eternity out of moments. He whispers across time, "Do not be afraid of death. Be afraid of not living enough." Every struggle you face today, every heartbreak, every rejection, all of it can become your art if you let it. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be real. Keats's life teaches us that failure is not the end, it's the forge. Criticism is not defeat, it's the test of your purpose. And love, even when lost, is never wasted. He gave the world one of its greatest gifts, the belief that beauty redeems everything. No matter how dark your night is, there is poetry in your pain waiting to be written. No matter how short your life feels, there is still time to create something that lasts forever. That is what he did. That is what you can do. You may not control how long your story lasts, but you can control how deeply it is felt. You can live with passion, create with purpose, and give your truth to the world. Because one day, Your words, your art, your courage might be the reason someone else keeps going. Keats's story is not a tragedy. It's a triumph of the soul. He lived fully, loved fiercely, and died fearlessly. He found meaning where others saw misery. He made beauty from brokenness. He stands as proof that you don't need fame to be remembered, only fire. You don't need power to be great, only heart. You don't need forever to make an impact, only now. So, when the world tells you you're not enough, when your dreams seem impossible, when your heart feels heavy, remember him. Remember the poet who had nothing but gave everything. The man who turned his last breath into a line of beauty. The soul who proved that even when you fade, your flame can keep burning in others. Be inspired by John Keats. Let his story awaken your courage. Let his words remind you that no pain is wasted, no struggle unseen, no dream too fragile to live. Because just like Keats, you too carry a fire inside you, a fire that no darkness can extinguish. Keep creating, keep believing, keep loving. And when you do, you too will become immortal. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of your own strength, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiration. Because somewhere out there, another dreamer needs to hear this today.